Can you hear me now? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
And now, can you hear me? Hello?
T'entends Bernard, mais on est en mute.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, perfect.
Hello, everyone. For all those who have already joined us, we see there's quite a few. As you can see on your screen, there is a QR code which you can scan with your phone. We're going to start in the next 3 minutes. Please, while we wait, you can scan this QR code, or else you can go to menti.com. That's menti.com. The code is 44957193. It's sorry, again, it's 44957193. Over here, you can answer some questions. You can ask us some questions as well. We've put a few options for all of you. And yeah, that we'll start in exactly 2 minutes. Hello, everyone. So it's 2 o'clock. We, at least over here in Europe, it's 2 o'clock. We can see quite a few of you have joined, and We'd like to remind you again, there's a QR code in front of you. Please scan it. It'll take you to menti.com. Otherwise, please go to menti.com, menti.com. Please use the code 44957193. And there are some questions that we have for you for today's webinar. And of course, there are some questions that you can ask us, which we will try and answer. We have tried to answer most of them in the last webinars. We'll do exactly the same thing again. And we hope that we can answer all of them by the end of this. We have excellent speakers today. I'd like to start with introducing, of course, Bernard Kaufman, who is the IRQB coordinator. Bernard.
Thank you, Tanvi. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this new webinar from the Quality Monthly time, and we will have today the opportunity to discuss a topic which is a discussion topic. Next slide, please. And we had a meeting in September in Berlin at the IRQB level, and we attended the Deutsche Bahn Rail Forum, where we had the opportunity as IRQB to have a workshop in the World Café. So there were really extensive discussions. There were about 50 people in this discussion round. And today we want to share with you the outputs and the main messages and discussions we had at that moment, which all are going in a way to push quality in the rail sector and, of course, as well, IRIS. So we have 1 hour time for doing that. And there were several topics we will discover, which each speaker, who in fact was in charge of his topic. So on the next slide, just to have and to give you a flavor of the meeting with the introduction and the different topics, there were round tables where all the participants moved after a certain time, and so all the participants discussed all the topics, and therefore we could also share a lot of feedbacks at the end. You see that the white papers are full of ideas, and that's exactly what will be shared with you now today. So as the first speaker, I will invite Sébastien Dauvin from SNCB to give the idea of the first topic. So thank you very much, Sébastien. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Bernard. So when moderating the session at the Deutsche Bahn Rail Forum on the synergies of IRIS with other schemes, we started by capturing the burning platform of the various participants, because some participants were familiar with IRIS, but others from Canada, for example, were new to the standard. Next slide, please. And we capture 4 main quotes from the participants. 15 to 20 years ago, ISO promised a reduction of the number of audits, but that did not happen. So participants were wondering whether IRIS would be able to reduce the number of audits, as ISO promised years ago, without really achieving it. Our feeling is that we just have always more work with new certifications. So their participants were concerned about the additional work that IRIS certification would represent, what is a fair concern. I struggle to convince my management to get the IRIS certification, even though some customers ask for it. To convince your management, you need to balance the effort against the benefits. So understanding the effort is for sure a key element for your burning platform. And all the constraints of different certifications can sometimes scare off new recruits. That was a surprise, so we did not thought about this concern, but participants expressed that very administrative and sometimes meaningless or not motivating certifications may be reluctant for young workers. Any of those sounds familiar to you? Hopefully. So, well, let's look at how we have addressed these various concerns during the session. Next slide, please. So, first of all, we reminded the participants that IRIS is based on ISO 9001, and therefore it is possible to reuse elements of the ISO certification for the IRIS certification. But the participants were particularly surprised and delighted, I would say, to learn that around 70 to 80% of IRIS revision 4 is also common with ECM, so providing therefore potential for reuse as well. And they were even more thrilled to learn that negotiations are ongoing to reach an agreement on acknowledgement between ECM and IRIS. Still work in progress. With regard to the reduction in audits, so we recall that IRIS is promoted by the leaders of the rail market, and that IRIS provides a common language and guidelines in order to align audits. A good example that is already live of this alignment are the cross-acceptance audits. Currently, if you are a supplier of DB, SBB, OBB, and SNCB, so the German, Austrian, Swiss, and Belgian operators, you will only be audited once by one of the 4 operators. This brings for sure benefits for both the suppliers and the operators. Finally, we have indicated that the same key players in the rail market are also promoting Railsponsible, the sustainability initiative, and that there are therefore also synergies between the schemes. SNCB, for example, has started to include questions on sustainability as part of the standard quality audits. Next slide, please. So, to conclude, at the end of the session, we think that participants were convinced of the potential for reducing audits with IRIS certification. On top of the first example, you need to know that SNCB right now do no longer audit IRIS Gold suppliers, relying on the certification, I would say, to confirm that the supplier has the right capabilities and the performance as well. We were able to convince them as well that IRQB had worked to reduce the workload as much as possible by design, but also through negotiation on acknowledgement, for instance. Also that there are synergies with different schemes and also with sustainability. And therefore, you should be able to easily convince your management to step into the IRIS certification, looking at the reduced amount of efforts compared to the benefits that my colleagues will explain just after. And at the end of the session, some participants were also convinced that IRIS certification should even be able to improve the retention of new talents, thanks to the promotion of the culture of performance and customer satisfaction, culture that gives more meaning to the work of the young workers. So
thank you very much, Sebastian, for your excellent summarization on the first table of the IRQB executive workshop that took place a few weeks ago. The next speaker who took part in the second table had some technical issues with his computer, so we will right now go to the third table and we will move backwards later on in this session. Thank you very much. Carsten, the floor is yours.
Apologies, my PC just crashed, so I'm back now. I see Reinhard has already finished, so I'll take over with digital market research by the means of the IRIS portal. We were discussing in the team how is the IRIS portal used. So what, other than having a quality standard in place for the products, does a supplier have with an IRIS certification? And I want to show you, starting on the next slide, how we did it. So around 4 years ago, we have started to really use all our data and funnel it such that we are able to really have this complexity of spare parts reflected in a data model. We are talking about a 60-year-old fleet, and obviously also very new parts in there. We've got several thousand suppliers. So how can we manage these spare parts and the suppliers, plus new spare parts coming in with having the same team and a more and more complex supply market? So we have taken all these data, fleet data, as well as supplier data and manufacturing data, and have put that together in a model to see which suppliers could provide which parts in our internal deck. And then we were pushed a bit with COVID coming up. How can we see the external market in case there are supply issues, for example? So we looked for ways to project our global supplier market that has a potential for us on our data set. And we have therefore used web crawling technologies, most of all. And among others, we have extracted all IRIS certified suppliers and projected it onto our data set. So today we can define a product basket and have a look which suppliers in this world could provide this product basket. Or the other way around, there is a new supplier that seems to be interesting. Which products could this supplier provide to SPP? This is what we did, and for us, it's the future. We see that this will be the next generation of procurement, at least from our side. And if you go to the next slide, I've just put the screenshot of the pins around the world, and those of you that use the IRIS portal will be very aware of these pins and of this map. And Anish, if you would please access the link, and let's hope it works. Oh yeah, here we go. Very good, Anish. Thanks a lot. So you see all these pins, and every pin is a supplier in this world. And for me, I don't even go and look which pin could be the one that is interesting for me. But if we scroll a bit further down, you see the different categories, the countries, and the activities. And I use these three clusters. And with these three clusters, plus other supplier information that I find in the web, I'm projecting the suppliers onto our data set. And with that, I will be able to see which supplier is capable of which product. And being an IRIS certified supplier, it's obviously a better level for us, as we are pushing to have only IRIS certified suppliers in our supplier base for our rolling stock. So that's why we are so interested also to have you in the IRIS portal and to use the categories in an appropriate manner, because then we associate the right supplier to the right products. And with that, now I'm not sure, I read in the chat that I was not the only one being kicked out of the session. Reinhard, I'm giving back to you, being responsible for overall quality in the SPP team.
Thank you very much, Carsten. Thank you, Anish, for the slide. Dear ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Reinhard Otto, It is my pleasure today to share with you the results of the session on supply chain management and risk mitigation. I took part in the session in my capacity as Standards and Regulation Manager for the Swiss Railways, where I'm also acting as a lead auditor, working together with our partner railway companies like Deutsche Bahn and Austrian Railways, and also working together with our suppliers. And finally, I have the pleasure to represent SBB in the IRQB in this group of quality dedicated people who are also giving today's webinar. So within the session in the Railway Forum in Berlin, we had Deutsche Bahn, Siemens, Knorr-Bremse, or other players like Harting present. And we really had a good representation of the sector. And in the next few minutes, I want to give you an insight about the ideas we discussed there and about the way such major stakeholders really want to work with the capabilities of the IRIS standardization and with the capabilities of the IRIS portal, which was just presented by Carsten. Next slide, please. So, in our opinion, with ISO 22163 and IRIS revision 4, the supply chain is now really based on a common standard gauge with regard to quality management in the industry. Quality assurance is set on a common basis to start with, and really basics requirements like first article inspection or process capability requirements are taken out of an individual customer-supplier relationship and set as a common and general foundation for the whole sector. The effort to establish this is therefore taken off individual stakeholders and rather implemented by an organization like the IMC and by the certifiers within the sector. We have common rules, and these common rules for certification are coming from the International Rail Quality Board, which means that it is the sector itself which is shaping the rules according to the business needs of the sector. The ISO 22163 therefore establishes truly worldwide requirements on quality management in the railway sector. Next slide, please. So during the workshop, Deutsche Bahn and Swiss Railways clearly stated that supplier audits will be reduced if suppliers adhere to the ISO 22163 requirements, prove this capability by certification, and third point, present the customer audit reports and present the audit reports to the customers and show the corrective actions in case of deviations. Belgium Railways even stated that gold certified suppliers will no longer undergo any periodic supplier audits by SNCB anymore. So therefore you see that the certification is really considered as an invitation to the first class among the suppliers, and it is very much connected to the expectation of a recognized quality capability and performance. And to maintain this, we believe that the key success feature really is the trust and the validity of the certs. I will come to that with my next slide, please. So trust is based on transparency. This transparency is a key feature to maintain the trust given to the certificates, as I just explained before. And today we have two ways how transparency is maintained. One is that the IRIS version 4 establishes a specific audit report for the customer. So this is to have organizations which are certified be able to share the audit reports with the customer as a way to communicate the performance and risk of the organization without compromising any confidential information. And to foster trust, we really want to urge all organizations to make use of this feature. And then, of course, we also have a control mechanism within the scheme itself, which is very important. And this is governed by IMC, but also by the stakeholders within the IRQB. We do regular witness audits among the certified and accredited auditors to calibrate the IRIS certification audits. And all this is really to implement the trust by transparency about the way audits are done, the way certificates are handed out, and the way certified companies do perform and do their business. Next slide, please. But of course, no certified company is left alone with the requirements. There are quite a number of guidelines giving guidance on the means to adhere to the requirements, giving best practices. And this is not only to set a common quality standard, but it's also to enable your organization to benefit in the best way from implementing a quality management system. Because at the end of the day, it is your business which should benefit from the implementation of a quality management system. And the guidelines give the most effective and most efficient ways to do so. Next slide, please. Then, of course, risk mitigation was a central topic of the session. Good risk management offers a chance to provide products and services in a reliable way and retain loyal customers. And it means also to be able to deliver products and services even under adverse conditions. And as a symbol for that, you see the firefighter on the picture. Firefighters by nature are often confronted with adverse conditions. And with the ISO 22163 and the guidelines, we really want to give you the protection you need to perform under all kinds of conditions and have really robust processes. Next slide, please. So Carsten already talked before about how IRIS and IRQB acts as a door opener, what is in the portal. Now, Jesus Torcida, head of quality at Talgo, will talk about how the certification is opening doors for small and middle-sized entities, because this is really for everybody active in the railway industry.
Yes.
Jesus, please.
Thank you, Rainer. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, last part of this presentation is about we were discussing during the digital forum regarding IRIS benefits for small and medium enterprises. As you know, IRIS Revision 4 has included a new certification level, specifically for small and medium enterprise. That means less than 85 people or less than 25 million euros of turnover, with the aim of reducing the effort of these companies to achieve IRIS certification. This is quite important to the entire supply chain to achieve big number of small and medium companies to be IRIS certified. Next slide, please. But before, so we were discussing about benefits, but before going with the benefit, if we ask what are the main challenges, the main difficulties for the small companies to be IRIS certified, we can say, of course, first the costs. Of course, consultants, training, certification can be an important factor, an important difficulty. But for me, more important, not the cost, but the time. The time of the resources that we need to implement all the requirements of spirit. One of the main challenges to try to avoid is to try to avoid over documentation. I'm sure you know examples of companies with a quality management system that we call over documented, with a lot of records, a lot of procedures, without added value, and a lot of people, I would say, doing papers. So how to avoid it? Well, the main challenge of all the companies, but especially the small and medium companies, is to understand the requirement. This is the key. This is the success factor. So if you don't understand the meaning of each requirement, you can implement a system only for papers. Go to the next slide, please. Also important, especially for small companies, if you have only one IRIS specialist, and this is the only person who analyze and implement all the processes and requirements, maybe you can have a problem. Maybe not such a good idea, because each department, not only quality department, but also production, design, purchasing, human resources, should understand their applicable requirements. They must understand the meaning of the requirement and the best way for the implementation. Then you can implement a quality system with added value for all your processes and all your customers. If you go to the next slide, for me, this is the most important. For me, this is the most important factor. I will resume in 3 words: do it easy. I mean, it's true that it is a requirement. Sometimes are not so easy to understand. But once you understand the requirement, you must adapt the system to the size and the complexity of your company or your process of your activity. So this is an example. On this slide, you can see the same process description with 2 different approaches, and both approaches are valid. On the left, you can see a process defined with a turtle model. I mean, inputs, outputs, risk, KPIs, person, and tools. And it can be enough for your company. On the right, you can see the same process, but including flowcharts, including responsibilities for each single activity, including graphs for the KPIs, different paragraphs for explaining tasks, another paragraph for explaining some data and resources. Okay, it also can be valid. Maybe for your company, it's enough with the turtle process, or maybe you need some more information, but both models can be valid. It depends of company complexity, and also, of course, it depends on the maturity level of the quality system of the company. So at the end, the advice is, okay, design your quality system as easier, as simple as your company needs, according to your activity, according to your processes, and according to your structure. If you go to the next slide, just as a remark, let me please remember Reina did it some minutes ago, but let me remember the guidelines. You know that we publish some guidelines to try to help companies to IRIS implementation. take into account that some of these guidelines will be updated along next months to be adapted to new IRIS revision 4 requirements. But anyway, specifically in this IRIS guideline number 9, you can find examples about how to define contingency plans, competence matrix, checklist, supply classifications. You can find a lot of ideas and solutions for your own system. Remember that guidelines are available at the website of the IRQB. And at the end, and then we arrive to the IRIS benefits. If you go to the next slide. So finally, we arrive to the benefits. So you will say, okay, I'm going to implement IRIS in my company. But for what? What are the benefits that I will obtain from IRIS implementation? Okay, we can say that first, it ensures a common language in our industry. So you and your customer speaking the same language, speaking about configuration management, about RAMs, LCC, obsolescence, etc. And it allows the requirements deployment along all the supply chain. So this is the first benefit. Second benefit, it can be reduced the effort for internal audit. The audit process is exactly the same along all the company areas using IRIS, and must reduce the number of customer audits. In this task, operators, and not only operators, medium and big companies, like a company like Talgo, we must reduce the supplier audit if they are IRIS certified. This is a must for all of us. This is a purpose of the IRIS scheme. And of course, you will find synergy with other schemes, environment, ECM, labor hazard, all the synergies regarding internal audits, corrective action, safety components, objectives can have a common approach for all the systems. And the third one in this slide is that IRIS implementation allows having a global view of all railway business processes. I mean that one person, or I would say one company who understands IRIS will be able to understand and manage all railway business process. If you go to the next slide, of course, more benefits. Of course, we must not forget that IRIS is a powerful tool for achieving continuous improvement. You know that IRIS questionnaire includes more than 300 questions split by maturity level that allows to the company to identify potential improvement areas. In my opinion, this is the main potential of IRIS. Allows to the companies to choose their own way of improvement. Then we can also speak about IRIS, that IRIS implementation can provide your company, will provide order. I mean, when launching a new project, when you have new customers, new products, IRIS can act as a guide along this growing process. And of course, even if we are IRIS certified, even if you are silver or gold medal, problems can appear. I mean, of course, we can have non-quality issues, we can have problems during warranty, non-quality cost. But in case of problems, an IRIS certified company will have the knowledge and will have the processes for reacting and solving the problem. And if we go to the last slide, we can find that, for example, IRIS implementation will help to set long-term relations with your customer. You and your customer are at the end speaking with the same language, and it will prevent major surprise, what I call major surprise during the project, because IRIS assures that the basic level of non-conformity management, KPIs, configuration or obsolescence management, etc., is implemented and is known in the company. If followed correctly, philosophy on continuous improvement messages will be assumed and followed by the entire company, not only by the quality department. This is the easy part. I mean, quality department is involved of this kind of messages, but the important thing is when all the departments take the message. And the last one, it's a tool and it can help to prioritize the efforts and the resources. Speaking about equipment or speaking about training, it can show you the best way for investment. So this is the summary. Thank you for your attention. Now I think it's time for questions, no, Anish?
Thank you very much, Jesus, Sebastian, Bernard, Reinhard, and Carsten, for your excellent presentations. And it's quite ironic. Normally, we do not have technical issues with our speakers, let alone two at the same webinar. But we're very happy to be agile. Unfortunately, I've only seen 4 questions today in our Mentimeter. So if you don't mind, I will, when asking our speakers for the questions, and whilst they're giving their answers, please, without further ado, raise more questions, because now we have some time to provide our expertise and respective feedback towards you. So I will start with the first question that I've received regarding Reinhard Otto's presentation. So this question concerns the results regarding the question that was related to Reinhard Otto's presentation. Reinhard, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Anish. Could you please share the result?
Yes, indeed. So I will share the result verbally. We had 45 people, more or less, that took part in the questionnaire. 20 people with majority selected transparency about process, capability, and performance is improved. The second most selected answer to the question was the ease in customer and supplier interfaces do not impact the system standard for audits and potentially less audits. So without further ado, Reinhard Otto, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Anish.
I sent.
So I understand that by far the most votes, more than 20, were on transparency about processes, process capability and performance. And this is really something I could not agree more. Please keep in mind that the IRQB is really not a single organization, not a single stakeholder, and it's not a safety authority. The IRQB is a consortium of different companies in the sector. We have component manufacturers, we have system integrators, and we have operators, and it's really our main goal that this standard delivers delivers to your business purpose and makes your organization more capable and more effective. That's why I think this is a very nice result that we have the vast majority voting for transparency about process capability and performances on the question, what is the largest benefit of this scheme? This is exactly what is also our target, that we do guide the scheme in a way that it delivers to your business and makes your processes more capable and more performant. Then the other aspects of the question, ease in customer supplier interface, of course, this is a topic we talk a lot about. I'm also happy that it's the second most popular voted for. And I think this is also due to the composition we have in the IRQB and the different stakeholders, that we find a good common basis. And you remember the image I showed with the standard gauge. So we really have implemented something here which is 1435 in terms of quality. Well, and the other two aspects, of course, robustness and reliability in these times is something important. And when you have capable and well-performing processes and you know your business, then this is also, I think, connected to it, that it's robust and reliable. And risks, I mean, we are in the railway business, so we have a safety critical product, and we talk about this, but it's not the focus of the quality management standard. It is something, without quality you can't have safety. So it is connected, but it's not the focus, and therefore I think also this voting reflects very well the understanding we have in the IRQB. And I would like to ask Jesus if he wants to add something, because his talk was also very much reflecting about these aspects here.
Well, no, really, I'm glad to see that the transparency about process capability and performance is the first option on vote, because I think that what IRIS and the quality management system can give you is transparency with internal, with customer, with all the stakeholders. And also I agree with you that of course the option with minus votes is dangerous risk of failure, of course, because you can have a system, but quality system with connection with safety, but of course is not the main function is not controlling safety risk, I would say, but I'm glad to see this result. I have to see. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jesus and Reinhard, for your helpful discussions. Again, there are only 6 questions raised by you hundreds of attendees. So please, we have some more minutes. Whilst I ask the next questions to our speakers, do not hesitate to ask more questions. And this is the right time for these experts to answer these points for you. So the first question I would then hand over to Bernard. You have the view on all the questions, so I give you the floor to introduce yourself and answer the questions. Thank you, Bernard. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Anish. As I personally expected, I know that today the main questions and way where people are having some interrogations is linked to the deployment and the implementation of the revision 4. So, I mean, it was, of course, very helpful to have all these additional messages, and I will go now through all this, the question we receive up to now. The first is about the transition audit deadline. If there is an end time where all the certificates must be passed. I mean, we have chosen to have a quite short transition period because the evolution in the standard and in the rules is quite low compared to what we had in 2017 or what you can expect about other standards, and also in terms of easy way to switch. So we have decided not to use, and the board has confirmed that, not to use the famous 3 years transition generally used by ISO. Because with the experience we have, it will be not necessary. So, but this means as well that it depends on how the companies are behaving. There are 2 aspects to take into account. The first is the reference date of the IRIS certificates, and the second, the time when the audit is generally done by the companies. And regarding that, of course, as explained in the previous webinars, the ideal way to switch is to do it when the next audit is a recertification audit, because then instead of having a revision 3 transition audit, a revision 3 certification audit, sorry, it will be a revision 4 certification or a recertification audit with the new question and so on, and that will ease a lot for the company, for the auditors and so on. But as we know that we have a lot of companies in other situations, next audit is surveillance 1, next audit is surveillance 2 and so on, there is a possibility of course, to switch in this case, in this transition audit. And this then depends on when and what is your current status. I will just give you 2 examples. If a company has, let's say, the audits generally in the first quarter of the year, let's say next February, and it's a Surveillance 2 audit. Of course, they will then do the Surveillance 2 audit in revision 3, and then in February 2025, they will do the recertification audit in revision 4. So that's one situation. Another company which has the next audit as a Surveillance 1, but they will have the possibility to maybe, if it's after April, to switch during a transition audit directly to the revision 4. Last example, if a company had, let's say, this year before end of September, it's Surveillance 1, audit in revision 3, they still have the possibility to do their Surveillance 2 audit next year in revision 3 before end of September. And this means that they will definitively switch to the revision 4 in September 2025 during their next recertification audit. So therefore, there are multiple scenarios depending on this timing, which is visible in the document available on the IRIS portal dedicated to the revision 4, the so-called guideline for revision 4. And effectively depends on this situation. If you have additional information, don't hesitate to contact either your certification body or the IMC, and we can help you to go into this way. Of course, there is also a situation where companies are very close to the switch on 1st of April. I'm speaking here from existing certificates. Companies having an audit in March or a reference date in April. Here we will allow some flexibility, always in mind that if there is a possibility to switch in a recertification audit, it's the best case for everyone. Of course, if companies are ready and have taken into account all the evolutions of the revision 4, meaning the standard published in July and the rules published in September. So it's up to you, and we clearly here are expecting that you might have the right way to switch. Going to the second question about the KO audit. I mean, the KO audit is not a general sentence we use. We have KO items, and these KO items are linked to the preparation status of a company before starting an IRIS audit. The KO items are checked before each audit in order to ensure that there will not be a major issue during the audit. These 10 KO items are linked to mandatory aspects in different fields of the requirements, where in the railway sector we believe that it's essential to be absolutely in line before starting an IRIS audit. The KO audit in such is not existing anymore since the revision 3, where you could absolutely fail an audit due to the KO requirements during an audit. This time, and since revision 3, normally it is visible in the readiness review. Of course, if you have a major issue on a KO item in an audit, now you will have, as any other corrective actions, maximum 3 months time to correct it. So that should be largely sufficient, meaning that you had already a successful audit previously, and that's only I would say a temporary deviation which you have to correct. The next question is linked to the certification about many companies already certified in China, whether customer audits are also reducing in China. So this means that effectively this situation is quite stable since the pandemic and has not yet change because a lot of companies are still now waiting the revision 4 to start the IRIS certification. But it's clear that currently a lot of certificates are in Asia and especially in China. One of the reasons, not the only one, but one of the reasons is that the main system integrator locally there, CRRC, is requesting mandatorily an IRIS certification for delivering parts to them. In terms of customer audits, I have no information that there is a reduction. Of course, there is also no system audits. They are focused on, like it is in the case in other areas over the world, in the US, in Europe, and so on. It's focused on FAIs or on product audit and so on. But globally, everywhere, the so-called system audits, even when some are reporting some kind of hidden system audits, but officially system audits are very much reduced in the global railway sector. A question is linked to the gold certificates. Here the answer is very simple and it's easy. It's today still limited to 6 companies with the gold level, which is the highest level today in the quality performance. Today also, I mean, if there is additional question, maybe Reinhard can answer as well, because he is currently one of the members of the gold committee. And in the last meeting, there were extensive discussion on some potential gold candidates. One was accepted, one was refused. So this means clearly the rules are to be respected, and the switch from silver to gold is not always so simple. We are currently in a, I must say, in a period where we have quite a lot of gold audits from the previous year, auditing. One company had the 3rd gold audit in October, another one had this week the gold audit, the 2nd one, and so on. So we will have in the gold committee quite some discussions in the next session in December to revalidate or to validate some candidates. But it's true that it's still very tough, and we are still helping through calibration audit and supporting these audits and supporting the companies as well as the auditor in that topic. Which question am I forgetting, Anish?
Indeed, Bernard, there's one final question for you, and then I have 1 or 2 questions for Reinhard. And if people still want to ask more questions, you have the chance now, because we have 7 more minutes until we end. Indeed, we only have received 12 questions so far, so please do not hesitate. Bernard, the question is linked to the answer of your second question, and the user quite simply asks, where can I find the KO, the knockout questions?
Okay, the knockout questions are clearly registered in the Performance Assessment 2023 document, in the rules published by UNIFE, where you have the clauses, the items, and the areas of it. The very detailed question itself, or not question itself, aspect or requirement itself, is or will be visible in the assessment sheet, which shall be published soon for everyone and available for all the stakeholders. We will have in a few weeks as well some webinars dedicated for the companies to explain much deeper also the changes in the master data to be uploaded on the portal, and very soon you will get also a possibility to attend and to get much more information at that level, and much more additional question linked to the revision 4, which is now being quite out of the door, and starting on 1st of January for certification audits. So now maybe going to other questions.
Yes, thank you very much, Bernard. So again, just a reminder, you have a few more minutes. If you want to squeeze in one or two more questions, we will be grateful and happy to do so. Reinhard, the question is now for you. A user has asked us, when a company is IRIS Revision 4 certified, can we expect to be not audited by operators and system integrators? I believe you're the best person to answer this. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the question. So, can we expect to be not audited by operators and system integrators? Well, I cannot answer generally for all operators and all system integrators, but I can give you very specifically the statements which were in the seminar in Berlin. So, Deutsche Bahn and SPP clearly stated that when you are certified, when you adhere to the requirements of ISO 22163, and when you submit your customer audit report, then we reduce our audit. So as Bernard also said before, we will not audit system aspects. We take it for granted that you have a management review implemented, that you have a process for first article inspection, that your measurement equipment management and your document management, that this is effectively implemented and according to these requirements. We will not audit this anymore. Of course, when we talk about product audit, first article inspections, where we have specific requirements, we will continue with product audits for the specific requirements. When we have special processes or certain topics which are not covered by ISO 22163, like cybersecurity, for example, it's a very important subject for us. It's a lot of risk connected to it for our passengers and for our own supply chain. So we will surely continue with audits there because it's not covered by 22163. But everything which you prove by the certification is accepted by us when you demonstrate it in the way I just described. And I think SMCB has made the most far-reaching announcement by saying that gold certified companies will not be regularly audited. And Sebastian, do you want to add to this?
Yes, you're correct. Huh? That's really a high level of confidence that SNCB is putting into the IRIS certification by totally, I would say, giving the trust of the audits in order to avoid any kind of audit for the qualification systems that bring access to special markets, special tenders. So yeah. And I think that it's also by those kind of examples that we are showing in the fact the commitment and really the vision of the IRIS certification to the market.
Thank you very much, everyone. In fact, this shows today a very good OTD, on-time delivery. In fact, we're even earlier than expected by 1 minute. So without further ado, we would like to humbly thank you exactly for the few hundred people that have attended today, for your quite nice participation. Please do not hesitate to ask us any questions in our generic mailboxes, or check our social media accounts to find the latest and updated information. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, evening, night, and afternoon. Thank you.